Final game here is against Oni dash dash. And looking at the board, we have a few interesting things on it. The centralizing thing to me was governor. I thought about what would happen if your opponent went after lots of ill-gotten gains against you. And I thought, well, you would just use the governor to draw a lot more than you would ordinarily. And I think you should still be okay. There's also develop to trash a little bit, so that might be useful. There's also some additional draw in Magpie, which is pretty good with governor because governor gains gold, and ranger. Ranger is also decent because it gives you a plus buy. So I felt like going after the governors was better than going after the ill-gotten gains. Now there's also inheritance on the board, and that is to be considered. I would like to buy an inheritance at some point, obviously inheriting the magpies. But we'll see when that time comes. That's a long way into the future, right? So I do open with a developer. I considered Magpie Silver to go after governors more quickly because my opponent already has one. He opens governor and estate. And I don't like him opening with the estate. I think you want to get the inheritance first before you start buying estates. And the estate certainly doesn't help you to get to 7. Anyway, so develop comes here and I immediately top deck a silver because I know there's a lot of coppers in the back as well as a magpie, and maybe, just maybe, yes, this happens. I get the inheritance. So I will not pick up the governor straight away, I will pick up the inheritance. It does mean at this point in time the magpies, which there will be 3 of now, will draw 2 cards almost all the time, which is pretty good, which means I could buy a governor a turn from here on out. And also the develop can continue to keep chipping away at my deck by thinning the coppers now. The estates have been removed in a sense. So I managed to see a lot of my magpies here, and like I said, they will draw very, very well now. One of them actually proliferated. So I have a couple more magpies, and 5 is going to be my first governor. So we are going after the governors here. I think in combination with the magpie, the develop can do a lot of work and hold down the ill-gotten gains to an extent after playing the game, of course. So my opponent now has a smugglers and he picks up another silver. Not going to trash here, I just want the governors. There's no point to trashing. Although a neat thing that I can do, and I noticed, is at some point in the future I can develop a silver into a magpie and an estate, and that's like 2 magpies. That's very good. More estates for my opponent. I still disagree with it. I think he should wait until he has inheritance before he starts buying the estates, because for 1, the estates don't help him get to 7, and 2, what if the magpies run out by the time he's able to buy inheritance? Then he just has a bunch of estates in his deck. He will probably inherit OACs, but that's not as good as Magpie. Anyway, so I do make the play here of developing the silver into Magpie and estate. The reason I get rid of the silver is because I could top deck them for 1. And I wanted to buy a governor here, but I clicked on the estate. The develop made me get an estate, which it did automatically and put it on top of my deck. I thought I had to click both Magpie and estate to get the things from the develop, but I was wrong. The estate went automatically and I didn't realize what was going on. I wanted to buy a governor. There's no way I would buy an estate there when I had $5. If I had less than $5, then perhaps I would have picked up an estate, but I had 5, and my opponent is very, very kind enough, even after he played his whole turn there, to go back and allow me to pick up a governor. So he's finally able to get to the inheritance after he draws a bit with the governor. So he has quite a few estate magpies in his deck. I don't know how many real magpies he has, but we've both inherited those things now, and just in time for him, right? There's only, if he had left it for another turn, there probably would be no magpies left. Probably. So this governor magpie thing is working out real nice, and especially where the trashing is a little bit weak in develop. The magpies kind of make up for it with the kind of draw they could put out here. Look at how many magpies I have. A flock. Bloody flock of magpies. Anyways, magpie is just one of those cards that gets me. The bird just sits there and it looks at you. And I look at it and it looks at me, and anyway, this is not strategic in any way. This is just feelings. So going to turn my silver here into a governor, and here I misclick again. No, this is not the misclick. I draw obviously to get the governors, and now here I click remodel. I don't know why I click remodel. There's no reason for me to remodel anything here. I still want to develop in my deck. There's still a lot of use for it. I can develop magpies into duchies later, duchy estate perhaps, or bazaar estate. All excellent options. So again, I ask my opponent to undo, which he agrees with, but he gives me a bit of ribbing for it, a bit of banter here, calling me the master of undo. I don't like to undo. I don't like to ask for undos. I like to be very, very sure and precise, but like I made mistakes here, not like strategic mistakes. I just clicked the wrong thing by mistake somehow. I don't know. Anyways, so more governors. This part of the game we are racing for the governors. My opponent rightly picks up a governor here instead of a province on the $8, and here I'm looking to get 2 governors. How can I get that? Well, I have no more silver in my deck, so it means I would have to develop a magpie. So I'm trying as best as possible to hold back a magpie here and go looking for my develop. I can get an oasis with my developed magpie if I like, or smugglers if I want. I don't really see much use for the smugglers now because the governor pile will soon be empty. I mean, perhaps you could get a duchy or 2 off of it, but I think the Oasis is better. It draws a little bit. My deck isn't 100% thin, you know what I mean? So I would like a little bit extra push forward. The Oasis will give me that. And if I draw well, I could remodel the Oasis with the governor later. So I top deck both those things. Top decking is excellent here. I'm guaranteed some kind of turn. I'm not going to see 5 treasure cards for sure. And the governors are out now. So 2 piles are out, and I'm looking at piles now. We have 5 estates, very carefully looking at piles, and also the province pile will run very quickly. This is what happens in governor games. So thank you, Mick. I'm looking at the estates. We have 5 left. Have to keep that in mind. Potentially, if my opponent doesn't do anything on this turn, I could remodel all 5 coppers or 4 coppers and buy an estate to pile out the estates and win. Potentially, but my opponent doesn't allow that to happen, picking up a couple provinces here via 1 remodel and 1 purchase. So here I think about turning a magpie into a duchy, but I think it's too early, although I'm not entirely certain about this. So we are already in the end game, by the way. This is how governor games work. When the governor pile is empty, you're basically into the end game. And I have to think very, very carefully about what is my play here. I know I have 7 governors. I want that split handsomely. I know I have 7 governors and 5 goals, or I think I have 5 goals. So what I am trying to do here is maybe I have enough money to remodel 5 provinces and buy a 6th. So that is what I'm trying to line up here, playing the magpies before the governors. And I'm also trying to hold back this oasis because I may want to I may want to remodel the oasis or develop the oasis into duchy, or maybe top deck something with my develop. So I am holding on to it just for a little bit here, and now I stop and I think for a while about what is my play here. If you want, you could also pause the video and think about what is your play in this position. I'll tell you what I eventually ended up deciding to do. I decided to go, in the end of course, after much deliberation, I decided to go for 5 provinces. So I would remodel 4 golds, and then I can purchase a 5th province with the remaining money in my deck. Now, I am also going to top deck a ranger and an estate with the develop on the oasis here. So that is what I eventually end up deciding to do. I have to think each time I develop here because my opponent remodels first a silver into a ranger, so it gives him some plus buy on the estates. I have to watch out for the estates. And he also turns a magpie into a duchy. So now again I have to keep thinking, assessing the situation. Can my opponent win if I take 5 provinces? It would put me to 33 points, and he would need a province and I think 2 or 3 duchies to win, which he can do. He has 1 gold in his deck, I believe, but he has a bunch of silver which he could remodel into duchies as well. However, I felt like, well, 1, he doesn't have the draw to do all that, and 2, if I leave 2 or 3 or even 4 provinces in the pile, he probably could have a turn where he gets 2 provinces, and I really didn't want to play in a position where my opponent had 4 or 5 provinces and I would need a bunch of duchies to catch up, especially because remodeling means I give him an opportunity to turn 4 costs into duchies. The reason I top deck, by the way, the Ranger, is because I want to have a 4 cost in hand in case he remodels, so I could turn that into a duchy in an emergency. So here, what is going to happen, I'm very lucky. I managed to find my goal, but I was looking at the estate pile too, right? I had the plus buy from the Ranger. I could remodel coppers into estates. And I do find the goal right away, so what it means is that I win this game and I win the mini league. 8 games out of 9. Not bad. So yeah, I take the first season of the mini league. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Oh, by the way, also in the Dominion League season 21, I ended up 4th. I didn't end up 5th or 6th, so that's good news for me too, right? I won't demote if that is a thing that continues. Anyways, that's the end of the mini league. Thank you for watching, and I will see you.